of Champions open scoring stage, I should say, the first of the qualifying tournaments. We just saw Diabolus dismantle Enclave in a very methodical style. This is going to be this was our hyped up matchup for pretty much all of the quarterfinals, apart from maybe XL versus M&M. That was a pretty exciting one as well, and maybe a little bit surprising. But Diabolus here came in with a game plan at Celtic and really just executed it.
Yeah, and I mean, they were coming in, we expected this matchup to be relatively close, and they just completely dominated from the early game. Even looking back towards the draft, they had very clear goals in mind. You know, you have Aurelion Sol, you're against a lane that doesn't push, so it plays into that as well.
Yep. You
get the lane push, start roaming, get kills.
And I think right now we're having to just kind of look at maybe the possibilities of how Enclave do change up their strategy here.
Yeah, I think more mid priority is really important. If you're going to pick the Vladimir, then don't shove it mid when you don't know what the enemy mid lane is going to be, because, you know, Aurelion Sol exists. Could have potentially put that bot lane. I think it would have been fine against the Zyricon. Like, yes, you would have got shoved in bot early, but at least you'd have had some mid priority and you could then punish that. Yeah,
I think bot priority is just a lot less important than mid priority, unless you're worried about the tower being taken. But again, a jungler can come down and ease that a lot easier than in the mid lane.
And that's pretty important, I think, between these two teams. I mean, Eren, fairly unknown player here, especially in the UK scene. Zeph has been competing at top national levels across the board, but when you look at these two teams, you're not actually just looking at Zeph and Eren to carry here, you're looking at other lanes. And so for Diabolus to come in and really just put so much priority on their mid lane shows that they have faith in Zeph's ability.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it was just his team fight ability alone was insane, on top of the fact he was controlling the map. So I think between Zeph and NG, they really ran that game.
Yeah, no, I think that's very true. NG's roaming ability, clearly in League of Legends, it's always been a bit of a mid and jungle partnership can win games, and clearly here NG and Zeph have that.
Yeah, absolutely. They played so well together. You wouldn't think that this was a fresh team for this split. They played like they had a lot of synergy, a lot of coordination. And I mean, the big thing was they punished top so much. Anytime the Nocturne used an ult, they were there to counter it. I mean, there was one or two that he got off that were okay, but none of them really went successful. And I think if you're going to prioritize a Nocturne that hard, you're going to first pick it, and that's all you get. You really have to go back to the drawing board and think, is this the pick for us?
And I have to say, NG managed to step up, even though nearly every jungler had been banned away. He still managed to find himself the Sejuani and perform excellently on it.
Yeah, and I mean, NG so far has been playing stuff like Camille. He's also played Nocturne, you know, very carry threat orientated junglers. So then to kind of take a step back and be a bit more utility tank based shows his flexibility, I suppose, for the team.
Yeah, you could see the strength of those champions translating into Sejuani. You know, Camille and Nocturne just really strong all-in ganks. Sejuani is Q. I mean, as long as you have an Aurelion Sol following you, you have the damage.
Right now, we are just waiting for the picks and bans to come to us. All these teams really thinking about what they need to bring to this. I just want to highlight again, I mean, Diabolus have committed a lot this season to succeeding. All the players living together in Manchester, I believe, training at esports arenas around the country. It just shows that they want to take this seriously and become the Forge of Champions champions.
Yeah, and I think it shows so far the level of macro they had in that game was the key thing. I mean, individually they had strong players, but the macro was the main thing.
Well, we are jumping into picks and bans here for Game 2. Diabolus currently 1-0 and on that blue side. Instantly, the Lucian is going to be banned away, which is interesting because he swept through the entire draft without being picked last game.
I think they're going, okay, so they locked in the Ezreal, they made the mistake last time, so now they might have the idea of let's get bot priority, go something aggressive. And let's just deny that before they realize that.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well is that it's a fairly rounded, safe ban. You know, it wasn't something that was an issue last game, but you're in a situation where Diabolus have a lot of picks that they potentially want to take up, and interesting to see the Sejuani come back, because the thing is, we saw the Sejuani pick when so many other junglers were banned. Diabolus have first pick. There's so many junglers that we know NG is able to play, so he's just going to pick one of those.
Yeah, I don't think they're worried at all about that Sedge ban. I think it's actually... They're probably like sitting at home laughing about that. I think they're very, very happy to see that go away.
Nocturne ban comes out as well on top of that. So two junglers, but leaves the first pick to Diabolus, and Graves, something that was banned away last time, going to be picked up. And you have to ask Enclave, what is your answer?
We will see that. See if they've changed their picking strategy as well. Eren so far success when he's carrying on a very hard carry type champion. Rift as well, just historically has been able to pick up those champions like Darius and really take that away. Was banned away against him in the previous game in that second round of bans because they didn't prioritize that top lane in the first side. Do see the support pick comes through for them. I mean, Rakan is a lot of playmaking ability. Hado wasn't able to get his hands on that previously. Maybe that's something that they really want to remove from Anthrax.
Sorry.
I was going to say I was expecting the Xayah Rakan, but they actually go out with the Camille. Want to make sure they got that in early. I was saying Camille is an option into Graves because you have more early gank pressure while Graves hard farms. So it means if you get into the lanes early on, you can pull a lead before Graves can get going.
Playing on patch 8.13 though, Camille did receive some nerfs to the hookshot in the jungle. I mean, maybe that comes into play. I guess we'll find out. Mundo and Ezreal are going to be locked in here for Diabolus. Keeping on that Mundo, such a strong top laner. But Cookie saying, you know, I can make this work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. So I guess going for the Mundo again. I like the Ezreal pickup here because you know you're playing into Rakan. And Ezreal very safe into that. It's going to be hard to get on top of him. And the question is, do ENCLAVE actually going for the Darius here? Yep. So I think this is a good pickup in terms of how I can punish the Mundo, but there is no doubt in my mind that Diabolus is going to ban away Xayah now. Yeah, we'll have to see if that does come through the Xayah ban, potentially for Diabolus. In game 1 of ENCLAVE's round of 16 against Digital Warfare, Rift did pick up a pentakill on the Darius right towards the end of the game, a champion that he has been always known to be very strong on. So we'll have to see if he can change things up. Had a bit of a not so fun time in the top side, very much focused out by Diabolus. There is that Alistar ban coming through, targeted at the bot side, and as you predicted, Xayah instantly does get removed from the picks and bans. We'll have to see if ENCLAVE decides to focus now towards support, or they keep it in the mid lane. I think a key thing here for ENCLAVE is that you know they don't have a jungler with CC. There's not very much CC to offer this top laner, so Rift should be a lot safer here. And with this Darius, there's a lot more potential to make plays. And then on top of that, you have the counter pick available for mid. So if you use that, you shouldn't have such a disadvantage in mid lane, and you can't get punished as hard.
You see, funnily enough, I actually like the Vladimir here. If you put it in the bot lane with the Rakan, you have a lot of AoE damage once those team fights kick off, and if Camille locks someone down, they're just dead. I
mean, Bendy played it in their round of 16. He's the only marksman so far, or bot laner so far, to lock in the Vladimir, or an unconventional pick that isn't a marksman. Kai'Sa will get locked in, unfortunately. We're not going to see any Vlad bot side, but of course, a great carry threat nonetheless.
Yeah, I think it makes sense with the bans. Braum and Alistar, both things that can answer very well to the Kai'Sa. You know you're against an Ezreal bot lane, so fairly safe to pick this champion who can scale up extremely well and sort of cement your late game.
And of course, the next level is that Kai'Sa and Darius have gotten pentakills so far, so just playing the odds here.
Yep, pick them both.
Looks like Shen is going to get locked in for the bot side, and I mean, Zeph, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Aurelion Sol potentially will come through, decides to switch it out for a Rise. Of course, ENCLAVE have the opportunity now to counter with their mid lane pick.
Yeah, I think it's a smart decision not to go for the Aurelion Sol here because you are blind picking it, and it isn't the safest blind. Rise, a lot more stable. Cassiopeia is an option into that, but still, Rise can do okay in that matchup. The Shen support pick, I think, is good. You know Ezreal wants to stack up his tier. Very low impact lane, so you pick something that can still assist in these top lane dives you're going for last game and other plays like that. And actually seeing the Vladimir come out mid lane, which is an interesting one because the matchup tends to be favored towards Rise, who does have the priority still. It's not going to be quite as bad, but we could see a repeat in the mid lane of last game.
I think that's the thing. They're going, it's not quite as bad. Maybe they've gone in their break that we realized what went wrong and how to play around it. You'd have to hope, given that the way it is now.
It's all about the rotation game. That's what Diabolus focused on in the early game, was rotations in the mid lane, rotations in the bot lane, rotations towards the top side, and really Rifty was the main focus of Diabolus, shutting down that Cho'Gath. Now it's going to be even more important on a Darius. You do not want to let him get going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, in credit to Eren, although the game did go badly because of the mid priority, there isn't quite as much of a power Rise. And in team fights, he did pretty well. He was behind on gold. Yep. He still managed to get some picks and some good engages. So maybe the pick of Vladimir isn't the problem. It was just the situation around it. And hopefully, Rift on this Darius won't struggle as much top and lead to a situation that's unfavorable. And I think the key thing is the fact that Diabolus don't have a CC jungler, so shouldn't be as easy for Engie to just make ganks across the map.
Yeah, and I was going to say, comparatively, you have this Camille who can get into lanes very quickly.
Yep.
Even early on, I was already saying, but even as the game goes forward, you then get the ult. It's very hard to actually avoid Camille ganks. I'm interested to see whether Monkiz can start going off on that, considering his Trundle was banned away. That's something he's leaned on a bit more previously.
No, that's for sure. You know, with the Camille, can lay down that ultimatum and really just force someone to fight, which is really important. I mean, we've seen already, at least in Forge of Champions, and just, you know, the interactions, Camille onto Ryze, maybe not the best because you can kind of wait it out just a little bit, but we'll have to see how this does turn out. Already we've seen Diabolus kind of drafting two laners who, or solo carries who, carries I should say, who are just kind of very mobile. Ryze can get out of a pickle eventually, and Ezreal obviously can shift away. Mundo for Flackish was just really impressive against Rift, how he continuously pressured him. But like you've pointed out, NG isn't really playing as much of a utility jungler this time, won't have the CC to lock up and keep someone stationary, so it might be harder for Diabolus to really win those top lane battles.
I will note though that you have Anthrax now on Shen. You do have the ability to bring that shield up to the top lane, make those dives that little bit easier, especially when you're something like Graves, where all you really need is a bit of time on the person.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well for the Mundo, like Mundo's only weakness is the fact that when you pop your ult, you drain some of your own HP. You have to trade it in exchange for using it. So there is a threat of getting bursted there. But when you have a Shen to give you a window to heal up, I feel like the Mundo can tank their tower almost indefinitely, even early into the game.
Enclave took away Diabolus's EU Masters spot last Premiership. Now Diabolus have reformed and have come back with a vengeance. They are looking to take this Forge of Champions outright. We'll have to see if they can continue this dominance that they showcased in Game 1 as we do wait to jump into Game 2. I mean, let's just talk about the mid lane a little bit more, just because Ryze versus Vladimir, like you mentioned, it's still kind of a losing matchup for Vladimir, but Eren didn't really play around the lane. He played around the late game.
Yeah, I think it's not as bad. Aurelion Sol can just walk at you at level 1. It can shove you in, can roam very quickly. Yes, Ryze can roam well with his ult, but it's not quite as good. Vlad has a bit more time to sort of get more points in his queue where he can kind of shove a bit faster. But even so, not a great matchup, but not as bad.
I think what I'd be looking at more so is the 2v2, because now when you push in with Ryze, you don't have the, you know, how far you can hang back with Aurelion Sol makes it very easy to push in.
Yep.
Whereas now you can get Camille right on top of him once he starts going forward, and Vlad could quickly follow up.
And the one thing that we didn't really see from Enclave was really any action happening from the bot side. Bendy on this Ezreal has to scale up into the late game, and late game never really came for Enclave. Now playing on that Kai'Sa, I think we're really looking to try and show his worth, I suppose, for Enclave.
But I think that's the thing, is that if you look at the team comp, you're not going to be wanting to hit the Mundo in the late game. Even Kai'Sa, who's great at straddling tanks, the ideal thing is you find a flank. If you get on the back line, if you get on this Ezreal, this Ryze, or even the Graves, and you go for something aggressive, potentially from the Rakan, potentially from the Vladimir, even from the Camille, you have follow-up. Kai'Sa can instantly be there, and you can just burst them down. I think if they manage to get good flanks, Enclave could even win from behind in this game.
Yeah, I do think Enclave's team fight in general is a lot stronger, because you also have Rift, who's in a frontline v frontline fight, Darius should always win.
Yep.
So it's all about whether he can get that split push going, and once he's ahead, if he can get into fights and just shred people apart.
Well, we've heard what you guys have to think, but I would love to hear what everyone at home is considering as well. Make sure to tweet us at LVP UK with the hashtag Forge of Champions 1 as we jump onto the Rift once more for Game 2 of this series. Enclave versus Diabolus, and Diabolus looking to close it out strong. Let's see if Enclave can fight back.
Yeah, so seeing a nice little Ryze, chilling in the mid lane, not doing much else.
I mean, he's just chilling. He's having a good time. Look at him.
Yep, having some fun. Just relaxed, calm. Not much happening in Summoner's Rift today. What's the weather like?
Maybe we'll get a sideline report mid-game.
Yeah, hope so. But both teams just going for a defensive start. You can see them mirrored across the map. And NG's trying to step forwards to get some vision. Has pinged out Monkiz, but nothing much going to happen. And it seems like neither team really too bothered about what the other's doing. Just wanting to make sure information isn't given away by them.
I mean, last game it was Enclave kind of showing that they might push into NG's jungle. Maybe it happens, but it didn't. This time, Enclave not going to be doing anything. Everyone very stationary. Where do you think that first gank does come out? With a Camille? With a Graves?
I think it's not so much the ganking, I think it's a skull contestation. Both of these junglers are going to be happy farming at first, then they're going to want to transition that into those scuttle crabs, which are so important. And it comes down to how well your laners do so they can facilitate you. I mean, yes, you can be an advantage as a jungler, you can get your stun onto the graves, but if the enemy mid laner turns up first, you're going to have a bad time.
Last game, Rift got hard focused down by Diabolus, and a huge CS lead did start to develop in that top side, but on a Darius looking to try and keep things strong.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is that the Sejuani has so much CC, and honestly into a Cho'Gath, the Mundo does plenty of damage, but that isn't the case here. You don't have the lockdown on the Darius. It can be hard to go for a gank, especially when someone as mobile as Camille can easily get there, so not quite going to have the pressure. We're seeing mid lane, Aaron's doing fine. He's managed to get the shove in the early level. He did get level 2 first last game, but got punished for it. But here, he's sitting confident against this Ryze. Ryze, no doubt, wanting to get enough gold for his tier, then back off. Does clear out the wave very quickly. And that's the power of the Ryze in this matchup, just the ability to burst through waves. And you can see that the push is on the side of Aaron, so Monk is happy to try and contest that scuttle, but it does actually end up having already been picked up by NG. So, bit of a disadvantage there, but bot lane scuttle still available if either jungler decides to take it.
One of the scary things I think that ENCLAVE are always going to be considering when facing up against Diabolus in this game is the amount of teleports that Diabolus have picked up here. Clearly, it was the macro game rotations that Diabolus performed in game 1 that got them the most of their advantages, and you know, we've seen this shift towards that marksman also taking the teleport as well to get back to lane quicker. But for Diabolus, they can show up in a hurry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have teleports from everyone apart from the jungler. I mean, with Shen, obviously, it's his ultimate, so has to wait for that. And it just means every time you consider a play, you have to factor in who can turn up there. Is it going to be an issue? Can we deal with it? Can we respond? And it makes it so much more difficult, especially when there can be such small windows.
We've got a bit of action happening up in the top side as NG comes on in. Flackish very low. Rift losing his life. I'm casting through the icons on the right. We'll have to see if Rift can get away. He does. Monkus will find the first blood. He did it! Exciting stuff. I'm sure we'll get the replay of that coming very shortly.
Yeah, looks like we're having a bit of an issue. Decided to follow Ryze for this game. We did talk about this matchup for a bit, so just seeing how these things are going. Did see that play in the top side, eventually getting the kill onto Flashes and burning his flash as well. And it looks like NG got it too. We are going with the replay here. So Flashes, low HP, Beard coming in. Oh, the pole misses, but Rifty able to find some space and just kite to the minions' graves, unable to hit, and then good flash away. Flash from NG keeps him alive, but then
no, Flackish.
Oh no, that is not what you want to see from Flashes. Yeah, he was out and he went back in. Bit of an unfortunate situation. It looks like we're still following Zephyr on the Ryze. Did just TP towards the top side.
I like it.
Hopefully getting someone else's point of view anytime soon. But for now, we'll track his walk through the river.
This is a POV stream. Tune into LVP UK 1 for the real game. No, that's a joke. Do not do that. I am joking here. I mean, Zeph had great rotations in the first game. So far on this Ryze, is kind of stuck and won't be able to really do anything until he does hit level 6.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it gives a lot more roaming potential. Did use his TP there, top to try and find something, but the ult, it's not the huge range on the first time you pick it up, but there is the potential move, and you can see, even without his ult, even without his TP, he's walking down towards his bot side. They want to contest Monkeys in his jungle, and they might be rewarded with a Grom. Aaron, bit too slow to follow.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good thing. We're focusing in on the guy making the rotational plays. It's always good to be. I think the camera just shifted. Ooh, we've been released.
There we go!
We've been released! Exciting time!
No longer following the Ryze, as interesting as that was, but we do see the Cromp contested, but nothing too much came from that. Both teams able to back off, and still seeing a slight goal lead over the Enclave here of about 800, mostly from that first blood, but also a little bit of a CS difference in the top lane secured from that advantage, and this is what we want to see from Rift, who has this Darius pick, and if he hits level 6 before Flaxis does, there's a lot of all-in potential.
I mean, how worth would that first blood be for Flackish if he was able to hit that cleaver? Because he was going to die anyway.
I mean, not massively. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have Triumph because he's gone the stopwatch, so he wouldn't get any health back from. But we're seeing some fights.
Yeah, Bendy jumping on over, able to escape with the help of Haddo here. One thing that I think has kind of haunted Flackish so far through his career is that he has been very aggressive. very happy to go for those very risky plays that we just don't often see in high-level competitive play, because the players are a little bit more reserved in what they want to pull off.
Yeah, and you see that did work in the top side last game, but might end up backfiring here. We actually seen an aggressive play from ENCLAVE coming towards the top side.
Is going to be Munkus and
oh no,
a Ren
I think we're stuck
heading up.
Oh
here
no, we are on top.
Let's see what happens here. It is going to be Rift pulling Flackish under the tower, and he is just dead so quickly.
He didn't even have to ult. This is revenge. Rift is like, you did this to me last game, I'm getting back at you, and they end up punishing Flackish. Doesn't even manage to use his ultimate there.
I mean, we talk about punish. Look at the CS already. It's a 20 CS lead for Rift, who's just playing a champion. I mean, this Darius, it's just been years and years and years of UK League of Legends play for Rift, where you just don't let him pick Darius.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that Rift is a veteran of the UK scene. He has played for such a long time and matched up against various top laners, including Alfari back when he was in a top laner in the UK scene. And so even though he got punished last game, even though he essentially got brutalized, he doesn't let that phase him. He's coming into this matchup happy to go against Flackish. He's now 0-2, and an execution is picked up by Rift. It means that if you get low, you can't rely on that healing. Very big threat for the ultimate to come in.
Absolutely, and you know, earned him a pentakill in the round of 16. Maybe looking to make the flashy plays now here on the Forge of Champions broadcast. ENCLAVE up by 1,000 gold so far. All of the action happening up towards that top side as Rift continuing to punish Flackish. Does have his ultimate up as this Mundo, but he's bleeding down. Dunk comes through, and that's going to be the solo kill for Rift.
As you were saying, you can't rely on that healing, and the second you get low, you get punished. And the thing is, last game we saw Mundo into Cho'Gath, and yes, Flackish got a lead. Yes, he was able to pressure the lane, but you can't do that. That is a very different thing when you have a fed Darius, and Rift is really taking control of his top lane matchup.
30 CS in the lead, and it's only getting worse. The teleport not available for Flackish. You have to imagine Rift is just going to be content and allow those minions to die to towers.
Passive stacks up, gets all his abilities on him, then goes for the final auto on the ult, and does so much damage fully stacked is the obscene thing. You're against a tank, an execution is called, and just completely prevents the healing there. No reprieve for Flackish.
I just love the way that Rift then punishes him further. NG actually trying to take this Ocean Drake all by himself, and there's actually some good support from the rest of his team. Nothing that ENCLAVE can do to contest that. I guess it's a bit of a consolation prize with so much pressure in the top side.
Yeah, and something interesting to note is Rift is just completely countering Flackish with his build. Not only has he got the Executioner's Call to reduce the healing, but the swiftness puts
we're going in. This is going to be the 3-man gank down in the bot side. Ultimatum laid down on Amphrax, who manages to escape for now. Low, but not low enough for the kill just yet. Never mind, Bendy making the plays, flashing forward, finds it. Will he be punished by Cookie? Here's the teleports coming from the top side as Flackish and Rift are coming down. The Rise is here as well. Diabolus 2 kills to Flackish, and they're looking for more. Cookie will be taken out. Flackish looking like he will fall as well under the tower to that Vladimir. ENCLAVE coming out on top.
Yeah, great play from Bendy to pick up that kill off the back end, but ends up taking too much damage from the tower, and Cookie turns it around. Flackish comes in, he manages to pick up 2 kills, but the counter engage is there, and we're seeing the replay now. So Anthrax locked up for a long time, but great use of that dodge ability so it doesn't take too much damage and survives this long. Bendy then goes in for the final damage, but this tower hit is just enough to get him low. TP then comes in from Flackish here, and you can see they're so low. Cookie puts some extra damage on them, but Flackish is able to burst them out instantly. But now, Cookie next to a very fed Darius, not an enjoyable situation when you have no mobility, and Flackish is just left out to dry. And the thing is, 2 kills onto the Mundo, probably not going to do a ton in that top lane matchup, but 2 kills onto this Vlad, that is not one you want to see if you're a fan of Diabolus.
And I have to praise Aaron's rotation there on the Vladimir. No teleport, no Realm Warp, but manages to beat Zeph out, who didn't use either of those 2 movement abilities. ENCLAVE with the rotation to take the advantage there, but here's everyone in the top side, bot side, making sure that they take down this bot lane tower and get the first brick.
Yeah, so this is a smart decision. You know your top lane is bleeding, so you decide to put them on bot side. You 5-man pressure. The jungler wasn't there, the top lane doesn't have TP, there's nothing really they can do, and by getting that first tower blood, they end up closing the gold gap. And not just that, you free up the Mundo from having to lane against the Darius in a short lane where you have to get up to his face.
I mean, this is going to be Rift striking back with a tower of his own. Just going to be the True Shot Barrage. Check out if that Herald is being taken place. Of course, it's not. We can see
they
that.
actually hit him on the Krugs, though. I mean, he was aiming for the Herald, but caught him on the Krugs. Might have even stolen one. We didn't get to see that. and did actually chunk him out. So now they know Munkis is low, Munkis is top. He's just cleared his top side. They could actually contest the Herald. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's going to be the rotation coming through with the Shen here, NG and Zeph going to be starting this one up. You do have to be careful. Munkis is sticking around, and Rift is very, very strong on that Darius. So strong at this point.
Yeah, okay. Diabolus decided not to go for it. Rift actually held his TP, his recall for a bit longer, so he will head bot now and pick up that wave. You really don't want to deal with this Darius at this point in the game. Again, I was talking about earlier, he's picked up the swiftness boots. It reduces the slows coming out from Flaxius' cleaver, gives him more movement speed to get in his targets, because that's the key thing. If Rift is hitting anyone on Diabolus, he will absolutely slaughter them, so trying to avoid that from happening.
Does look like NG clearing out the vision here. Not able to get everything.
Yeah, not aware of that ward in the back, so still some defensive vision there. And the thing is, with Zeph now recalling here, oh, does actually TP back mid. So I was going to say a little bit of loss in pressure, but with the TP should be able to maintain it.
Blackish is there as well. Maybe Diabolus setting up to make plays around the map outside of where Rift is. They know the teleport is still down for the Darius.
I mean, that's the thing, is that Flaxius can move for a little bit of time because Rift has to shove the lane out, but he does have to answer back now. So the opportunity goes over to Rift here, and with neither of them having TP, whoever has the opportunity to move can impact the map, especially when you're a 1-0-3 Darius with 112 CS this early in the game.
That is a huge amount of CS, almost doubling him at this stage. It's not long until that potentially comes through for Rift. We've talked about his carry potential in past games. He's been a forefront of the UK. I believe won multiple titles as well for Eminem back in the days. But when you put him on a carry threat, carry is what Rift does.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is the champion you sort of want, and you're in a situation where there's not much CC for the Darius. There's a taunt for the Shen, which involves him getting in your face and forcing him to attack you to stack up his passive, and then there's the root from the Rise. That is it. That's the only hard CC you have, and Darius isn't really too phased like that. He's going towards a Triforce, he's going to burst anyone who gets near him, and the thing is, a support Shen doesn't want to take damage from a top lane fed Darius.
That's, yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone wants to take damage from a top lane fed Darius.
At least if you're a top tank Shen, you can sort of brush it off for like a couple of seconds. But you know, that's the thing with a support Shen, is it's a really solid pick if you can make use of the ultimate and get some rotational play. But we haven't really seen that. And then as a champion itself, you basically offer your ult, you offer the taunt, you can offer the dodge, but beyond that, you're not very tanky. You don't do damage like the normal top Shens because you don't have Grasp and you don't have Hydra.
50 seconds until this Infernal Drake is coming on in. It's a bit of a play in the mid lane as Aaron rooted up, overextended, tries to flash away, but collateral damage will take his fate at such a key time as well, with the Infernal Drake spawning soon. Yeah,
just a bit over-aggressive from Aaron there. I mean, even if Graves wasn't there, you know, well, you should remember that they have a Shen who hasn't ulted in the past 10 minutes, it seems, so you shouldn't go for that play. But then with the Graves being there as well, it's a guaranteed death for you, and now Diabolus get a reset in, they pick up some new items, and they're now going to push in and try and get some vision control over Dragon before it spawns. And the thing is, there's no TP available from Aaron, so he's going to be behind on tempo. And all that beautiful pink ward and those two wards nearby in the river around Dragon are going to get cleared.
Yeah, we're seeing the scouting team going through, clearing wards, doing the job. There's the pinks being cleared out, and
good hustle working as a team, placing some buying pinks. Look at that. Cookie has a pink, 2 pinks from the mid laner, and 3 from the jungler. I love to see that.
I mean, Diabolus so far working so well as a team, and newly formed as well, which is the exciting part. Rift, is he caught out is the question. It does look like Diabolus do want to collapse down onto this. Here comes the Realm Warp, going to cut him off. Caught up, taken down. Hextech ultimatum onto Zeph, but oh dear, can they turn around and ENCLAVE come in? They take down the Rise, but it's not going well just yet. Monk is stuck in a fight he doesn't want to be in. Aaron coming forward, continuing out as this fight, as he takes one down, looking for a second, but it does look like ENCLAVE are losing on all fronts. I say that as Aaron finds another, but NG should be able to finish the job. It is going to be the kills going the way of Diabolus.
Yeah, it's just a complete overstep from Rift there. I mean, you knew you were out of position. Your flash was available. You should have just flashed over the wall. You were completely caught out. You didn't have a turret, and then you got punished. And now it's given over an Infernal Drake to Diabolus, which is huge for them.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic plays. Teleport those is coming through from Rift. It's not free just yet, as Rift is going to be coming on in the Kaisar as well. He's going to threaten it, pulling on in this Mundo, looking for a kill. Drake will be secured by NG, but Flakish will lose his life.
what do you get from this? A kill on the Mundo is nice, but he was going to have to recall anyway. He has DP up. He's up in 25 seconds. Yes, you can try and push mid, but...
Rift Herald.
Yeah, I mean, you can head towards Rift Herald, but even then, Rift Herald, not the greatest trade for an Infernal Drake, which is going to scale great later in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have the Rise on your team and that Ezreal and the Dr. Mundo, you're really just looking to get towards that late game and scale it all up. And this, I mean, this Rift Herald is going to go the way of Enclave. Diabolus not going to contest it. Not worthwhile, the hustle. We'll have to see, though, if Diabolus can continue putting the pressure down. It was good rotational play from them, catching Rift out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was great in itself, but there was lots of individual good plays as well. My highlight was Anthrax. As soon as Bendy ulted in to try and contribute to the team fight, he got taunted by the Shen and essentially did nothing, just got bursted through in that fight. And I mean, yes, the Xayah only has a rage blade at this point, isn't the strongest champion, does scale better. You want her to be able to be free hitting, and when you can only hit the Shen who's taunted her, not doing great.
Bit of a lull in this game so far. As Diabolus considering their next move. I mean, I say considering their next move. I don't think they are. I think they're just happy to continue to scale this Rise up, scale this Ezreal up, and allow Enclave to be the ones to potentially miss position.
I mean, it's a difficult window. You're now in a situation where the Rift Herald's on the side of Enclave, so you kind of want to be in position to react to that. Munchkis is seen on the ward here, so if he goes for it, will get spotted out. But the key thing is, yep, so he's going to go for it, and they should be aware, and you can see Diabolus are moving over to react to that, so no doubt want to prevent it from getting too much damage on the mid tower. They'll definitely get a hit, but will they be able to get the tower off the back of that?
Teleports ready to go for the side of Diabolus behind the action as well, but it does look like Diabolus are going to allow that mid lane tower to go down. A second hit comes through, a big chunk onto that tier 2 tower, taking it down to half health. Enclave getting relatively good usage out of the Herald.
Yeah, definitely got their money's worth. Not a massive swing. They're only slightly ahead in gold still, but
yeah.
Looks like they might be waiting around mid lane, and if Engage could come out.
I mean, they are. Here we go. Is going to be escaping away. Munkus not quite able to land onto the Ezreal. And look at this. In the top side, it's Zeph still pushing down the tower and really just forcing Enclave's hand.
Yeah, and TP was actually cancelled from Zeph there. Saw that the disengage was happened, but you now see Rift heading up to react to this push. Should get there in time just to defend this top tower. So nothing massive lost from Enclave, but a lot of back and forth between these teams who are very close in gold at the moment.
Looking like items have now converted in the mid lane, in the bot lane as well. This is the moment that Diabolus have been waiting for to strike.
Yeah, so both got their fully stacked items. Fully stacked Manamune from Ezreal is huge, and fully stacked Seraph from Rise. It's actually a new build that's happened because of obviously the quicker games. You pick up the Seraph first, so you can stack it quicker on the Rise instead of getting a Rod of Ages. So this is where they are really spiking. The late game, I would say, does go over to Enclave because Vlad and Kai'Sa are absolute menaces if you get very late in the game. But right now, this is the power spike of Diabolus. Yes, the gold's even, but I feel like they're more powerful, and this is their opportunity to make plays, especially leading into Baron spawn and the next Infernal Drake.
Well, that's the exact thing is, you know, like you mentioned, Infernal Drake will be coming up next, and the Baron is only 30 seconds away. So if you're going to spike at any point, this has to be it for Diabolus. So yes, last game we did see their ability to execute off their power and really just continue to roll the game in their favor. But this game, things haven't gone perfectly for them. Yeah,
absolutely. If you compare this game to last game, I mean, it's definitely going better for Enclave. It was dire for them. But that being said, a huge advantage was accrued in the top lane for Rift. And although he's still very far ahead, it hasn't snowballed out of control. You saw what happened. One kill top lane for Flaxius last game was enough to completely dictate the game. And in this one, we're seeing the Baron spawn and both teams almost dead even on gold.
Yeah, it does look like Rift currently hanging out in that tri-bush, watching the Purple Worm join us on the Rift here. Enclave grouping up in the mid lane, looking to walk towards it. Zeph, we saw that teleport cancel, is still down right now for the Rise. A moment of opportunity, you would think, for Enclave if they can find someone mispositioned.
Yeah, they're trying to clear out the Baron just so they maintain the illusion that they could be doing it and force Diabolus to face check. They know the Rise isn't able to join right now. So, good opportunity for them. But the thing is, you have to be scared of this Diabolus team. You now have the Oblivion Orb Seraph on Rise, huge power spike. Trifast Mirror Mana on Ezreal, again, huge power spike. It's going to be very back and forth.
Did look like Diabolus potentially moving in on the mid lane here. Not as quickly as I expected. Currently, ENCLAVE very happy to hold out. I do think that... Oh, we're going in. Haddo flashing forward, doesn't quite land the engage. Haddo escapes for now. The Hextech ultimatum is in, but Flakish is coming down. 1 kill so far for Diabolus. Make that a second. You would think Monkus will go down. It's a fight on all ends. It's 2 apiece, I believe, as more kills coming through for the side of Diabolus. Cookie goes forward, finds another, but gets dunked down, escaping via the Realm Warp. Able to survive for temporarily, but does eventually bleed to death. And now Rift caught between a Mundo and a Rise, pulling them all in, but doesn't have the heal. Is able to find the ace for Diabolus.
Yeah, and 30 seconds on this next Infernal Drake means Diabolus are going to be able to have the pressure to set up for it. They're now going to push him. We are going to see a replay here. So Haddo actually botches the engage a bit, gets bursted out before he even gets the knock-up. Follow-up is there from his team, but you can see they aren't able to find enough damage onto Kuki to kill him, and even Graves survives for such a long time. Rift comes in on the backside, but he's just kited. He's now only hitting the Mundo, who isn't very useful, and great kiting from Kuki and Zeph. Use of that wall, and then follow-up onto the Vlad to clear him out. And although Rifty does get a lot of damage back on a Kuki, which turns into a trade kill, they end up losing overall into 3 for 5. Honestly, bit of a botched engage from Haddo there, who is the primary engage for ENCLAVE.
Looks like this Infernal Drake is going to be started up by ENCLAVE here, but the rest of Diabolus waiting across the wall. Realm Warp not quite ready. Flashing over, but it isn't stolen. NG not quite able to secure that one. I say flash, he just jumps over with his jump. I mean, the one thing that went wrong for ENCLAVE, well, I say the two things that went wrong is, like you mentioned, the engage from Haddo being disengaged perfectly by Diabolus, but also the teleport wards not really available for Rift. He had to teleport so far back where Flakish could get straight into the fight.
Yeah, and you saw that Kuki and NG were able to buy time by going over to that Raptor camp, and there was no one there to pressure them. Rifty, if he'd been able to TP there, it would have meant there was no escape, and they would have been able to cut down on both of those marksmen. Right now, you see, very fortunate for ENCLAVE to pick up that Infernal Drake, because it does sort of equalize on the scaling end, which obviously with the Kai'Sa, with the Vladimir, is something they want to do, but they did give up a bit of pressure around the Dragon. They're now looking to reclaim that, and you see Kai'Sa recall now going for Nash's 2. Again, big spikes coming out. You're looking at the items on these carries. A Triforce is being built by Monkeys, but still a long way to go. But the key thing is you're getting a Nash's Tooth on the Kai'Sa. She's now going to put a lot of damage out. Still not as much of the Ezreal at this point of the game, but becoming more and more threatening.
So far, Diabolus' game plan of win games at 24 minutes and a half has been stunted by ENCLAVE as this continues to tick towards that magic number.
I would be very impressed if they won this at 24 and a half. Very impressed.
I mean, that's the important thing, that ENCLAVE has slowed things down. Oh, okay, well, never mind. They are going for it with the Baron play here. Teleport is available for Rift. In fact, he just walked down into the fight, so he still has that ready to go. Maybe Eren caught out the Realm Warp behind. He is in the middle of the fight, trying to escape, but he will not be able to. Miss positions from the side of ENCLAVE.
Rift cancelled his TP.
Oh, no.
Oh, they thought he was going off the Baron. So did Eren. That's why he went in, and then he gets caught out. It's now a 3v5. Baron's at stake. They have to steal this, or they're going to be so doomed.
Well, we are going to see if the attempt does come through. Hook shot available to go over the wall. This Baron getting low. This Baron going lower. Rift currently just split, pushing down the bot side. ENCLAVE waiting for the perfect moment. Everyone ready to stop. Great stop comes through from the Shen. And that will be Monkus taken on out. Diabolus find the Baron, find 2 kills for themselves. They're losing their bot side inhibitor tower, but at least the inhibitor will be alright. ENCLAVE botching that one up entirely.
Yeah, so I mean, Rift made the right decision given the context. Yeah, he might actually just get this. He has a Triforce, not damage. Flaxes can't really stop him, but you can see on the other side, Diabolus trying to pressure, but Rift, he knows that the recall and he starts to back off.
Yeah,
but
he's in
might
trouble
be
here.
too late.
Yeah, it's very much. Oh, okay, never mind. That's a lot of damage. Good taunt comes through. Isn't going to fall. Flakish able to stay alive. ENCLAVE not able to secure the inhibitor in the bot lane, losing their top lane carry source as well.
Oh, such a bad situation. You've given the Baron over. You've now lost your top lane. I'm actually going to see the replay. So they back off the Baron, and great Rizal forces Eren to go in. No flash available. The ult from Anthrax keeps Kuki alive. No threat from Nolan, and then they head towards the Baron. And this is great. Again, Anthrax is doing great. He gets the taunt just as it gets low enough for a smite ward to go on. Lands it on not just Monkeys, but I believe on Haddo as well. We'll see that in a couple of seconds. So Anthrax waiting, and he goes for then blocks the hook shot over the wall. They manage to actually pick up a kill there. and the Baron, of course. And, you know, great reward for that team. And now Diabolus back in control of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Diabolus may not winning at 24 minutes and a half, but they do have control once more. A 3,000 gold lead, now looking to try and put this Baron to good use. That's a very low top lane tower. One auto attack from Cookie takes it on down. ENCLAVE have to deal with that bot lane pushing up with them, but there's no teleports to be able to deal with it. And so it does look like they're just going to allow that to push down and regroup in the top side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have the pressure from the Baron. Rifty realizes he has to come top lane to help deal with this. He can't split any longer. And at this point, you're just trying to stop the bleeding. You have to delay Diabolus from getting too much from this Baron.
Grouping up, Flackish in this red side jungle. Gonna say hi to Rift with a big cleaver to the face. The rest of Diabolus moving on in. Eren flashing on forward. They're looking for the fight. Hextech ultimated onto Zeph, but it is Bendy caught out all by himself. Can he kite on this Kaiser is the question. Yes, he can. First kill goes to him. That does look like this Realm Warp to try and keep the rest of Diabolus alive as Monkus finds a gang squad, but they want it all. Pulling through Amphrax, looking for the dunk. Gets it, does Rift. ENCLAVE do everything necessary to keep Diabolus from taking any more objectives.
Exactly what you needed. They have the Baron. You know they're going to be able to pressure these towers, so you go for an aggressive engage. Great from Eren. And you can see it here. Charges up his Z, gets the combo into them. Good stopwatch from NG. I mean, it would have gone much worse if it wasn't for that. But still, on the back end, Eren able to just solo out the AD carry. And although he trades his life for it, ENCLAVE are then able to move to protect Bendy, which is the key thing. So the Kaiser available on the back end, and then Rifty finally gets his kill at the end. Just lands the pull onto Anthrax. Would have been better if he managed to get all three, but there is the dunk to finish it off.
ENCLAVE are holding on in this game. We expected this series to be close, and ENCLAVE are showing us that they can hold on in. The next Drake will be coming about in about 30 seconds, I believe, at Cloud to join us. Not going to be the most highly contested Drake, you would think.
I mean, I think it's bigger at this point because you're now starting to get towards the Elder Drake. Whoever secures this, I mean, if it's Diabolus who are in control, they'll have 3. That's a big factor when you get towards the late game, especially when that's what ENCLAVE goal is. Just stall out, get your Kaiser to be strong. He's nearly got the Rabadons, as has the Vlad. You can see they have these 2 needlessly large rods, so that's probably a big point they're waiting for. And the Cloud Drake spawning in, and Diabolus aren't waiting, they're straight onto it. Yeah. Next Drake, I believe next Drake won't even be the Elder.
It's going to be another.
Yeah,
take it down quick enough. So this is actually a potential disaster for ENCLAVE. This game does continue to scale on like this, because that's not going to be an Elder Drake joining us on the Rift in 7 minutes time. Oh no, it's going to be a completely different beast. ENCLAVE allowing 3 Drakes to Diabolus.
You know, honestly, I'm questioning that decision for Diabolus. If you waited till 29 minutes and took that Cloud Drake, that sets up Elder. Elder is so much better for you because you're in control, you have 3 dragons, a much bigger buff, and I think you should have gone for that, because now the Elder's going to be delayed till nearly 41 minutes, at which point this game is probably going to already be decided.
You would think so. So far, most of these games have been relatively quickly, with the most lengthiest yesterday about 33 minutes. Only 4 minutes away.
This one does seem like it's going on, especially Baron not available. Elder's a long way away, so both teams just looking to sort of secure some more gold and farm up. It would be nice if we can have a look at the goal differences. We can see particularly top lane and mid lane, there are massive disparities on either side. In CS particularly, you can see that over 100 top lane. But
is he caught out again? That's the question. Realm Warp to try and catch him out. ENCLAVE is starting to rotate down, but it's a 5 versus 1, and there's nothing Rift can do.
Yeah, and Flash is like, I'm here, I helped. But yeah, Rift caught out once again, doesn't have his flash, and even if he did, wouldn't have really helped. And they're now going to push towards his bot lane. And I think they weren't really winning team fights before. Without your Darius, you're definitely not winning them now.
We'll have to see what ENCLAVE can do to hold off the fort here. It's going to be a difficult task for them. Lots of poke available.
I mean, the question I asked, do you give up this tower and just look for the engage from Darius? And yep, looks like they're going to. You might have to give up the entire inhib. There are TP wars behind though, so no, I think it's gone a bit too fast. They're going to be able to back off in time, and it looks like you just use an inhibitor for that. And when Baron is spawning in a minute, you don't want your bot inhibitor down. Yeah, you see Rifty caught out. Again, great ults coming out from Zeph just to collapse onto someone on the enemy team. And the Shen comes with him. There's just so much, as we talked about earlier in this game, so much global pressure from this team that clearly Rift didn't respect.
I mean, make that mistake once and it's okay. This is a very global team that you have to respect. Make that mistake twice and at the 30-minute mark, well, it's questionable. ENCLAVE now need to you know, soldier up here. They need to, you know, make sure that they're communicating and playing on the same page, or else, unfortunately for them, Diabolus would just be a team that will execute perfectly and continue to push towards a win.
Yeah, and I think it's okay for now because you have TP on Rift. He is pushing towards that bot lane, and you managed to buy enough time for Kai'Sa to pick up a Rabadon's before you're starting to contest Baron, but still, there is a goal lead for Diabolus of 4k. Yes, the scaling is on the side of Enclave, I'd say, but it's not really relevant at this point. There is still good scaling from Diabolus. I'm not saying it's like a pure outscale, just I think Kai'Sa has advantages later, but you're seeing massive level advantages from the side of Diabolus. There's 1 level on the jungler, 2 on the mid, 1 on the AD carry, and 1 on the support. The only advantage is for the top lane towards the Enclave, and that's a huge thing because levels are very impactful, especially the later ones. It's a lot of free stats, which is going to go on top of that gold.
Rift in the mid lane with the rest of the team here.
I think Erin's looking for a flank here.
Potentially.
He is in position, and he does have Predator and Flash available.
Well, we are going in. It is going to be the engage coming out of Diabolus, but have they been baited in? Hado trying to charm Cookie in, but it's already Emfrex dead. 1 kill for Enclave, and it is currently Bendy trying to survive against Zeph. Oh, 2 kills come through for the Rise, and Zeph finds a double. But will they be able to get NG out is the question. Doesn't look likely. Gets taken down. 3 members alive for both teams now. 2 kills have gone through, but it's Zeph the one looking to do the damage with Cookie on the backline. It is going to be Rift falling. Monkus and Eren, last men standing for Enclave, falling 1 by 1 by 1. Cookie will find the ace, and Diabolus have done the job. They're going to push into their base.
Yeah, it looks like a TP is going to come in. They're just heading straight over the base. I mean, 10 seconds on the Kai'Sa, so I'm not sure if there's enough time, but Zeph is going for it.
We'll have to find out if Zeph can do it. These Nexus towers have definitely fallen. Here comes Hado trying to stop him all by himself. Bendy respawning as well. Zeph starting to fall back, and it is going to be him falling, but he finds 1 kill on Emfrex. Well, the rest of the team are starting this Baron at half health now. I'm not sure there can be any contest from the side of Enclave. Diabolus going to be able to get this Baron, and they're getting towers in the top side as well. It's just gone great for Diabolus.
Yeah, Diabolus got everything. They got the fight, they got both Nexus towers, which is huge, and they got the Baron as well. I mean, well played to Zeph for seeing the opportunity, and yes, he did trade his life for it, but I'm calling with.
Right now, Diabolus just have to regroup, head back up towards that bot lane, and push it on in. It's about as simple as that. Enclave have 1 more chance, you would think, here to really make an impact and keep this game alive.
Yeah, we are seeing that team fight. So Engage comes in onto Munchkins from Anthrax, but at the same time, Eren's going in on the backline. Zeph manages to proc his shield and stay alive. The Channel as well makes him so hard to deal with, and all the burst comes down. He then goes to help his AD carry, flashes, which forces Bendy away, and you see the drive-by combo as he ults towards Baron. Actually a bit unfortunate because it moves him away from the rest of the fight, but they have time to move down. I thought this was good because NG got shut down, so they wouldn't be able to Baron, but they end up losing all the members of the back end, and that led to the Baron for Diabolus. And now, I mean, it looks like they're just chilling, waiting for the Rise to get up here, but they're going to make a push after this. I don't think they necessarily need to go bot. The pressure's already there from the supers. They can honestly just push mid lane and look to take an extra inhib there.
Exactly what Diabolus are going to do. Everyone grouping in that mid lane for now. Enclave looking to make that last-ditch effort to stay in this series. Diabolus have brought it to them on multiple occasions so far. A rivalry in the UK that has just been forming and forming over recent times.
Yeah, and it looks like a rivalry that now Diabolus is on top of. Looks like they're going to be able to push in with this massive Baroned up wave. Very hard to clear. I mean, again, the Vladimir wasn't as much as a problem in the early game here, but low wave clear. Eren looking like he might go for a flank, but being spotted out by flashes, so just trying to clear the way, but Engage comes in.
Yeah, it is going to be Monkus jumping in onto Zeph. They're going to try and focus him down, but Monkus is already dead. Eren on the backline looks for Cookie, but the Xenon keeps him alive for now. It's not going well so far, you would think, but Rift, he's fully stacked. Bleeding, everyone is going. Can he find any more? Ultimate is on cooldown. No more executes to come, and Flackish charging forward, looking for it all. Cookie laying down the damage. Hado trying to keep them alive as Bendy trying to keep the Nexus alive. It's not a committal from ENCLAVE, but now it is just disaster. DIABOLUS have taken down all carries. It's only Haddo to keep this game alive, and unfortunately, the support cannot do that. DIABOLUS going to take down the inhibitor. Woo! They have to take it down.
Yeah,
Death time is not quite there for Monkus, you would think. This is going to be DIABOLUS taking the series 2-0, and they do so in style.
Yeah, a very close, not very clean team fight, but in the end, they managed to clean it out. Flashes at this point seems invincible, and they end up taking the game with a clean 2-0, something we didn't necessarily expect there.
I mean, so far in this quarterfinals round of 8 stage for the Forge of Champions scoring tournament, every game has been a 2-0.
I thought this would be the one to break it.
I mean, absolutely. It was definitely the closest series we've seen so far. These teams butted head-to-head, but it just wasn't enough for ENCLAVE despite the early leads they got.
I mean, you have to give it to them. Even that last fight, they had the prioritization correctly. It was Zeph's Rise that was doing massive amount of damage in all these team fights. And they thought they had the lockdown. They took him out, but Ezreal with the GA managed to find his way back into the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. We are actually going to see the bracket in front of us so we can see what happened with that. And DIABOLUS have knocked out ENCLAVE, and the next game of the night, which is Misfits Academy against Super Duper Giant Truck Team, will decide who their opponents are in the semi-finals.
Yeah, absolutely. This scoring tournament's starting to shape up. The further you go, the more points you get. And with the 4 qualifying tournaments here in the Forge of Champions, it's all about getting deep into the tournament so you can rack up those points. So not only can you secure the dollar, but you can secure one of those 2 positions towards the EU Masters. Fantastic stuff from ENCLAVE. Sorry, DIABOLUS, I should say.
Yeah,
to manage
not sure
to
about
progress.
fantastic stuff from ENCLAVE.
To be able to progress forward to the quarterfinals, joining both Wind and Rain. And of course, Eminem, who took down XL yesterday. It's time for the final match of this week. It is going to be Misfits Academy versus Super Duper Giant Truck Team after the break. Never mind.
Oh,
They want
let's go
us.
to a break.
just
Yeah, let's keep
pranked us.
going.
I mean, what do you have to say to me, Celtic?
I mean, that last game was really fun. It was actually the closest game we've had by far so far. I think, you know, ENCLAVE looked like they had some control. They looked like the scaling was mostly on their side. But I think, again, it comes down to the fact that DIABOLUS seemed to play team fights better. They seem to know how to position their carries a lot better.
Yeah, no, that's very important. Their ability to play the micro game just as well as their macro game is certainly showing up. And you have to think potentially it's just all this commitment that they're putting into the scene.
Well, I think that's obviously a massive factor, but I think a big part of that game was the mid lane. I mean, NG didn't have as much of an impact in the first game. Not to say I'm criticizing him, but the main thing was the impact from Zeph, and I think that carried them to victory.
Well, we did see a fantastic performance from DIABOLUS. It is now time to throw it to the break. Stay tuned, Misfits and Super Duper Giant Truck Team up next.
I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the sky